One of the things that we take for granted in our life is internet. Internet comes and goes, and I've often joked that if I was in the middle of Africa, I'd have better internet than what I have here in Silicon Valley. Here I am right in the tech capital of the world. Of course, that's self-proclaimed, but internet is often a challenge. It's throttled, it's regulated. There's been a lot of news over the years that have discussed the way that the internet in the United States is slowed down much slower than most other countries. But in fact, in Silicon Valley, it's played with, it's monitored, it's restricted quite significantly. Now, it's interesting, during the last few years of telework, somehow they managed to pump out additional access to internet at higher speeds where they couldn't do it before, and now they're having to go back to an older model because it apparently is too costly. So I was wondering, what was my internet speed at, and why are my devices getting kicked off the net? So let's take a moment. I already ran this test this morning, but let's just see, what it shows up at right now. I'm going to do 3 different tests. One is a basic, just a Wi-Fi test, and I am located now maybe about 20 feet away from the router. And then I'm going to do a second test where I plug into a wall a Wi-Fi extender. And then the third test, because there'll be an extender, I will plug the Ethernet cable directly into the extender, which is accessible here, because otherwise I'd have to wire it through my ceiling, through the roof structure, and then back down into the new office. So let's go ahead and take this run. This first one that I'm doing, as I mentioned, is Ethernet from about 20 some feet away. However, I am in an office that is through a major wall and a door. So let's see what this looks like here. And again, the reason why I'm running this is even during the Zoom sessions, I'm being kicked off Zoom. And email is just not loading. It's really become inhibited. But we're going to talk about some other reasons why you need to manage your internet speed as well. So here we have a download at 2.81 and an upload at 3. This morning when I ran the download, it was at 2.25 and the upload was just slightly higher. So let me go ahead and take a moment right now and plug in the Wi-Fi extender. So we'll give that a chance. Now, the Wi-Fi extender, I don't have a lot of experience with a variety of products. I chose a main brand. I happened to choose a Linksys. I went into an outlet that was close to the router inside of the house. And from there, I went ahead and set it up. It was pushing a button on my router, pushing a button on the Wi-Fi extender, waiting a little while, pushing another button on the router, and another one on the Wi-Fi extender, which allowed both the regular Wi-Fi and the 5G. So what I'd like to do right now, it looks like it's back on green. So I'm going to run this one more time. Now that the Wi-Fi extender has been set up and it is in a plug that happens to be about maybe even less than 3 feet from where I'm sitting right now. Let's see if this changes the speed at all. So it actually looks like it's running quite low. .45 with an upload speed that looks like it didn't calculate. I'm not sure that, oh, here it's going right now. In just a moment, I'm going to rerun this particular test because it didn't look like it was grabbing the connection enough. So let me just let this finish out. And then we're doing the second test again because that's showing 1.45 and 1.91. So this would be more similar again, not with the Wi-Fi extender, but generally what I'm getting as far as Wi-Fi access over just the wireless internet. So I'm going to run this one more time now that the Linksys color has changed to amber. So this is with the Wi-Fi extender. Let's see if it can grab a little bit faster here. And it's actually still pulling in quite low. 2.54. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Ethernet cable and plug it directly into the Wi-Fi extender. And then I'm going to show you the results that I did get this morning. So that's a 2.54 and 2.89. Here I go to plug in the Ethernet. Okay, so the Ethernet's plugged in. It's still an amber color, so let me just give it a moment here and see if there's any change there. Okay, so here we go. Now the Ethernet is connected directly from the Wi-Fi extender, not the router itself, but from the Wi-Fi extender, hoping to solve the problem of not running a cable all the way through the house and over here into the new office space. So we're seeing a huge difference here already. Okay, so that's at 35.21. And we're waiting for the upload speed right now. So this is significant because once again, moving the office outside the barrier of my front home. So the front doors would of course create a strong barrier for the Wi-Fi signal, creates a little bit of a weakness. But I'm on the other side of the front doors in an office that I built. And the office then has additional external walls. And so with the Wi-Fi, it clearly wasn't strong enough in the house, and it certainly was not strong enough for the new office. But if I was able to take a Wi-Fi extender, plug it into an outlet right by my computer, and then plug in an Ethernet cable, it's a phenomenal option, because otherwise I would have to run the Ethernet cable from the router, which is in the living room, all the way up through the roof. I'm sorry, all the way up through the ceiling, through the attic, and then drop it down into the office. It'd be very, very costly to pull that cable. The other option is what I was doing, is just running the Ethernet on the floor, and that's never a good option. So here we have 35.12. So I want to look at this a little bit. When I ran it earlier this morning, I did get a faster speed with even just the Wi-Fi plugged in without the Ethernet in. So there was a marketable difference, and that's the screenshot or the thumbnail for this ad or this conversation. But you can see what a usable speed I'm at. So why is this important? And I just typed in Speedtest, and this one happened to come up, the Ookla. I don't have a feeling one way or another. Even your internet provider should have different tests for you. But why is the speed of your internet important? It's not only important for gaming or watching TV without buffering. It's really important for security. And normally when you look this up, it's about the defense and defending the attacks. Well, the explanations from a you and I type perspective isn't really as comprehensive as we'd like it to be. But what is important is the internet speed refers to how much data and information can be transferred over the web at a single connection at any given time. But this is important not so much for the reasons we discussed of gaming or watching a TV show or even loading your email, which should be very, very easy. But when there is a delay, which they refer to as a handshake time, from your computer to a cloud server that you need to connect to in order to gain access and their security protocols, the longer that delay means that handshake does not happen in a timely fashion. It can allow for a variety of hacks, and therefore the head company often will go ahead and disconnect the service and not let you in. And I'll get to some specific examples in a minute. But I wanted to look here first at, this was a report, US News, what is a good internet speed? And of course it does advertisements there, but it goes over light uses, moderate uses, and high uses with one device, multiple devices at the same time, kind of an understanding of what's typically expected. And then an overall download speed and upload speed, and then whether or not there's data caps. But as you look over these various speeds, with the Wi-Fi plugged in, I'm able to get within this range. And yet this is the service that I have. I'm still not even able to get up to that speed here in Silicon Valley. But without that, I'm inching along at almost dial-up speed. Anybody have Earthlink? So conversations like this can really help you have a better conversation with your internet provider. It may not be about getting a better plan. It may be about getting better hardware. So tools like this are very helpful for you to understand that. Now, when they look at what is a good internet speed for multiple devices, it says for 4 devices or more, typically 25 is recommended, but 12 should be the minimum. So they give some ranges that you would look at, and most ISPs deliver their promised broadband speed according to the FCC, but there are differences among each of them. So just be aware of what you're paying for, what you're getting. And again, this says how fast does it need to be? Typically, ideally it needs to be around 25 is what they're looking at for download, and a 3 for upload seems to be acceptable across the board. Now, what if you're a telework employee? Most telework jobs have a minimum requirement, and normally you have to hit 25. So again, if you have an Ethernet cable that you plug directly into the router, or in this case, an Ethernet that will even plug into the Wi-Fi extender, you can typically meet that goal, even if your Wi-Fi is typically lower, meaning the actual wireless experience is lower. By using an adapter or additional hardware, you can bump that up and secure additional roles. But this is a company that I am familiar with, and because QuickBooks Online, TurboTax is typically online, a lot of these various products that we're used to dealing with now have an online option. You used to have a disk and you plug it into your computer and you would host everything right there in your computer. Now the data is in a hybrid space that's shared in the cloud. And in order for your computer to connect with that information, there's got to be a verification that you are actually who you are and it's not being hacked. And in order to do so, your computer is going to send multiple pings in order to keep verifying that you're the correct person who signed in, you're authorized. And on the other side, they're going to accept those pings and open the gateway so you have access in very simple terms. But if in fact your speed is too slow, you're not going to get a note from, in this case, Intuit or QuickBooks that says your speed is too slow. You're going to experience slower updates, you're going to experience lag in the product, and you're going to get kicked offline often. And there often isn't an explanation as to why, but you'll realize that, wait a minute, the program doesn't work, and it's really frustrating. But if you step back, it's usually not the program or the online software. It's in fact the hardware that you have in your office that is not allowing the connection to run fast enough. So again, to even make it easier working with any of these online products, having a faster internet connection is going to solve that handshake issue. So what do? Wi-Fi extenders, of course, Amazon, Walmart, Target, any of the main places, but you do want to make sure it's a name brand. I went with Linksys. Of course, it's well known, but you don't want to give extra opportunities to have a chip inside for companies to be able to hack in and monitor your access. So go with a name brand, do a little bit of research, and just do a search for wireless range extenders and repeaters and see what comes up. All right, so if we go back over here, again, I brought it all the way from, what was it, sub 3 to 35.21. So I really hope this helps you with your speed as well.